Good morning, everyone. Peter Dew's my name, and welcome to today's webinar. Today's webinar is about how to get in the habit of public speaking. We've got a small group today, and I want you to ask questions as we go. So Peter Dew is my name. I'm a public speaking trainer and coach. Some of you know my story, some of you don't. I'm a person who stutters and has stuttered all my life. And I got tired of not sharing my knowledge, my views, my ideas. So this ability to educate, to train, to inspire people through the spoken word is a very powerful skill. So I've moved from avoiding public speaking to now, one could say, in the limelight, although I don't think of it as the limelight, helping other people make differences in their worlds, in their workplaces, in their communities through confident, effective, and influential public speaking. I'm just going to share my screen. And how to get in the habit of public speaking. And why do I want public speaking as a habit? And what do I mean by get in the habit of public speaking? And what's the benefits? So how to participate, ask questions as we go. I've got the chat box open. So please do ask those questions as we go. Please put your comments in, take notes. And as I've mentioned previously, I do record these webinars, so they will be available should you need to review anything, should I go over content a little bit too quickly. So welcome. As a public speaking trainer and coach, one of the things that I do talk about is don't do death by PowerPoint. With the webinar world and not face-to-face, it is a little bit harder. And one of the things with doing PowerPoints, I will say, don't put up words and read from the words. So I'm going to today break my rule, but for a reason. So I want to share with you a quote from James Clear. So habits are small decisions that we make and the actions we perform daily. So decisions we make and the actions we form daily. Habits in your mind, thinking about I'm going to get fit, thinking about I'm going to go for a run is not a habit. So it's the actions. According to research at Duke University, habits account for about 40% of our behaviours on any given day. I schedule and promote 2 free webinars every month. I run 24 webinars per year. It's hard work, it's time consuming. I've got to come up with ideas, but because it's a habit, I just do it. Your life today is essentially the sum of your habits. So James Clear, the book is called Atomic Habits, and really good book if you want to change behaviors. And I want you to think of public speaking as a habit. Many people avoid public speaking. Many people don't like public speaking. James Dewick, an older book on habits, which I read probably about 10 years ago, he says, a habit is a behavior that starts out as a choice and then becomes an unconscious pattern. So I chose to do webinars, and I then systematized it, and it's now become a habit. Every habit, so both simple and complex, has the same structure called the habit loop. There's a cue, then there's a trigger that tells the brain to go into that automatic mode, which is the habit. So read that last line, the brain to go into automatic mode. Imagine if public speaking became automatic for you. So could you speak at the conference next year? Yes, no problem. Will you do an update at the meeting? Yes, no problem. Will you make a little speech at Peter's 10th year of service morning tea? Yes, no problem. It becomes a habit as opposed to, oh no, I've got to speak next week. We get into those nerves. So that's a little bit of, I guess, a little bit of science, research, university, psychology around the habit. So that's why I want you to think of public speaking as a habit. If it becomes a habit, it becomes less difficult. And it's not an occasional habit. So we don't work hard, do some habits, then deliver a wedding speech and then stop public speaking and then hope to do public speaking well in another 12 months. We need to internalize this and have it as a regular habit. Public speaking, this beast, this dragon, this scary thing called public speaking, make it a regular habit. So how are we going to do that? First thing, speak regularly at meetings. Stand up to speak. Speaking regular at meetings helps it become a habit. Now, whether we have a team meeting or a project update meeting, just by contributing at a meeting or to make it a habit, has to be put on the agenda. Now, here's the thing, sitting down at a meeting around a boardroom table and commenting is less public speaking than standing up. If your weekly meetings or your monthly meetings, it's not customary, it's not normal to stand up, what can you do to stand up and speak at that meeting? And the answer is really quite simple. Go to a flip chart or go to a whiteboard and reveal a model, a statistic, a diagram, some information that's visual. And when you go from speaking words and you stand up and describe it visually, when you stand up, everyone's eyes are going to lift up, they're going to look at you, and you'll notice within your psychology, within your physiology, you're now doing public speaking. Oh no, I've stood up in front of 10 people, 10 team members. I've gone to the whiteboard to draw something. I'm now doing a mini public speech. And if you do that regularly, you turn it into a habit. Many organizations I work with, I run training workshops for, have safety meetings or they have pre-start meetings. And one of the things the chairperson, the leader of that meeting, will often ask, does anyone have anything to add? Does anyone have a safety share that they have seen or heard? And this is your opportunity to contribute at a meeting. So get in the habit of regularly contributing at a meeting. And it may be asking a question. And most workplaces have weekly meetings. When I used to work for the Health Department of West Australia, I used to chair a Monday morning meeting and we would review the week past and then we'd talk about the scope of work for the week forward. And then one of the things that we did was we rotated the chair responsibility of that Monday morning meeting. So while everyone had the opportunity to speak, to chair and run the meeting, that came around about every 8 weeks. I had 8 people in my team. So every 8th week, it was your turn to chair that meeting. And this is helping growing the skills and helping people get in the habit of public speaking. Repetition is the mother of skill. The more you do something, the easier it becomes. A second way that you can make public speaking a habit is volunteer for a committee role. That can be your sporting club. That can be an association that you belong for, a community association. I live in West Leederville. We have a West Leederville Ratepayers Association. parents and citizens, or parents and friends, as they're called nowadays, association, or a not-for-profit organisation. Volunteer to be a board member at a not-for-profit association. Join a not-for-profit association and get in the habit of speaking. Now, these associations and these clubs need presidents, they need treasurers, they need secretaries, they need someone to plan events, they need fundraising coordinators, and this will mean you need to give an update. They sometimes call it portfolio. So if you go to a Rotary Club or a Lions Club, just about everyone in that club has a portfolio, and they do an update on their portfolio, whether it's fundraising, whether it's community development, whether it's growing membership. You have to give an update. One of the things as a member of a not-for-profit that I find is that getting committee members is getting harder and harder, and the responsibility keeps falling on the same people, the same individuals. There's lots of opportunities, and this is a safe environment. A sporting club, an association, a not-for-profit, it's not your income earning job. It's not the meeting that I spoke about, the work meeting in the first way, so of speaking more. So the consequence of maybe being nervous at a sporting club or an association, the consequence of maybe your face going red or maybe forgetting because of nerves is less important than when you go to the workplace. So I think volunteering for a committee, for a club, an association, for a not-for-profit organisation is a great way to stretch, to grow, and to get in that habit of public speaking. Join a Toastmasters club or a rostrum club. These are public speaking clubs. There is a third public speaking club in most capital cities called the Penguin Club. The Penguin Club is an offshoot from Toastmasters and is open to females only. I used to be a member of Toastmasters. I have attended rostrum clubs. I have never attended a Penguin Club. Needless to say why, but these clubs are purely to help you to elevate, to grow, to improve your ability in your public speaking. There are Toastmasters clubs everywhere. In Perth, in Western Australia, there's probably 50 clubs. In Victoria, 250 clubs. Rostrum clubs, probably 20 rostrum clubs in Perth. Penguin clubs, 4 or 5 penguin clubs in Perth. The thing with Toastmasters is that when you become a member, you pay a fee. And that fee, that membership fee, it's not big, kind of is a financial incentive. If you don't attend a meeting, you've kind of paid for it and you're wasting your money. And at every meeting, you will be required to speak, either formally present, maybe an off-the-cuff speaking, or maybe to give feedback or evaluation of someone else who spoke. And the other advantage of Toastmasters is it is people who are trying to improve their public speaking, giving unconditional support to other people who want to make public speaking a skill, something they do more often. So there's unconditional support, and there is little consequence of making a mistake, of going blank, of getting really nervous and shaking, especially when you first start this journey of dealing with public speaking. When I started my journey dealing with my stutter about 15 years ago, I joined 3 Toastmasters clubs. So every Monday lunchtime, every Wednesday lunchtime and every Friday lunchtime, I went to a different Toastmasters club within the CBD of Perth in my lunchtime. No consequence for my home time. There are morning breakfast clubs. There are evening, afternoon clubs. Just get in the habit of public speaking. I'm going to stop my share for a while. Any questions? And I believe there was a question in chat. Yes, a comment about loving the book from James Clear. A really good, practical book. Not a complicated book, easy to read in bite-sized chapters. Thanks for that comment. Any other questions? So private message from Steve. What if you don't have a Toastmasters club? Hang on to that thought. So we've got 3 ways that we can make public speaking a habit. Speak regularly at team meetings. Join an association, a club, a not-for-profit. Join a public speaking club, Toastmasters, Rostrum, maybe Penguin. Another way of getting in the habit of public speaking is to regularly practice and video record your presentation. The beauty of this and this video, this webinar, this little seminar is being recorded, and should I need, and I'm doing it fortnightly, so 2 webinars per month, I can share that recording with a friend. I can share that recording. I can pay a coach or a mentor to then give me feedback. I can get feedback from a family member. If I was practicing a wedding speech, and you can have a free Zoom account where you don't need to pay anything as long as your meeting is less than 30 minutes. So you can get a Zoom account, jump on, speak for 15 minutes, practice a wedding speech, speak for 20 minutes, practice a presentation for work, and then share the Zoom recording with a friend, a family member, a work colleague, your boss. Get your boss to give you feedback before you do the actual presentation. And when you invite people to your Zoom meeting, you are attending my Zoom meeting today, I have to do it. I have to make it reasonably high level. I don't practice and practice and practice for this. So this is what I call extemporaneous. So it's just happening, conversational. It's not scripted, it's not prepared. It's just, this is how we come, this is how we go. And of course, you don't have to go Zoom, you can use your camera. Rest your camera on a book, or you can get a little tripod and just hit record in selfie mode and record it. And then once again, share that file with a friend, a coach, a family member, and get feedback. And get in the habit of getting feedback from your presentations. And that's the beauty of Toastmasters or Rostrum. You'll get feedback, real-time feedback. Practice speaking without notes. Get in the habit of speaking without notes. In your preparation, you may need to take notes, and you may need to refer to those notes. The other thing that I like more, and one of the webinars I'm running in the future is how to speak without notes, is more of a mind map. So it's kind of like bullet points, and these PowerPoint slides are acting as bullet points. They prompt me, other than the quotes that I started with James Clear and Charles Duhigg, I'm not reading word for word. This is just extemporaneous conversation. As long as you know your core message, practice speaking without notes. So while you prepare, you might have a script, go to the mirror, go to the camera, go to the Zoom, and just go practice without notes. Get in the habit of speaking without notes. And one of the questions I get asked is, what if there are no public speaking clubs? So I do a lot of work with the mining sector, and they're in the Pilbara. And of course, they have daily pre-start meetings where anyone is invited to put forward a view. And that's where that safety share comes in with the pre-start meetings. You can share an incident, something that's happened, something you've read about that maybe's occurred in Canada or the USA in the mining, oil and gas. But what if you don't have a place where you can regularly speak and you're in a small country town, maybe Narrogin or Katanning, where there is no Toastmasters club? Well, you could start a Toastmasters club, but why don't you start something like a lunch and learn or a breakfast learn? A lunch and learn is where once a week, maybe Friday lunch, Fridays, everyone's winding up for the weekend, where people get together for 15 minutes and you nominate one or two speakers to give an update on some technology, something trending, some future ideas within the sector that your business works in. Accounting, financial planning, within hospitals, new antibiotic resistance, new drugs, what's happening with COVID-19, if you're in the health sector, and just make that lunch and learn a regular occurrence. I've worked with an architectural firm, and this owner of the architect firm, Friday afternoon at 4 p.m, the business kind of shuts down. They normally work to 5, 9 to 5, 4 o'clock shuts down, and in their boardroom, everyone gets together and each person has 2 minutes, compulsory, not compulsory, encouraged by the boss, by the owner, to give a 2-minute presentation on anything that's of interest. And they share architectural plans from high-rise buildings in New York, interior designs, overcoming problems, new apps, new technologies, artificial intelligence. And some of them I've had the privilege of attending one of those meetings. Some of them are nervous, but they know they do this each week. And it's a great way of creating a habit. One might even say a culture of public speaking within that organization. So I guess what I'm saying from this is, if getting in the habit of public speaking doesn't fall in your lap, if it's not easy, if you can't just go into a Toastmasters club or stand up at a Monday morning meeting, you need to take ownership and create the habit for you. It needs to be your habit so that you can be more confident, more credible, more influential at public speaking. When you get in the habit of public speaking, it doesn't mean nerves go away. It doesn't mean you don't get a little bit anxious. What it means is you become more polished, you become more effective, and confidence does rise, even though there's those underlying nerves that may always be there. Your responsibility to make public speaking a habit. It's probably the number one. So when people come to me and say, Peter, I'm a nervous public speaking, what's the simplest way of me becoming more confident? That is, the response to that is, speak more frequently. Speak once a week. Stand on your feet once a week. Get in the habit of public speaking. What do you do if you're an introvert? I don't want to speak up at meetings. I don't enjoy public speaking. But here's the thing, and Susan Cain, who wrote the best-selling book, Quiet, The Power of Silence in a World That Won't Stop Talking. Susan Cain, an introvert, a great public speaker. She says introverts make great leaders. Unfortunately, one of the requirements of leadership is public speaking. So we have these two opposing things. Introverts make great leaders because they listen, they show empathy, they collaborate, they welcome ideas, but they need to do public speaking, which they hate because they've got to be in the limelight. So what do you do if you're an introvert? One of the things at meetings is ask questions first. Be the first person to ask a question rather than wait and wait and wait. And I don't want to ask this question. And you know, you're starting to get anxious. And then the chair says, so Peter, you haven't said anything. What do you think? And that's really hard for an introvert. Because I can prepare that first question. I know the agenda. So I'm going to write and prepare the first question. So does anyone have any questions? Yeah, look, I'd just like to mention, then I'm done and dusted and I can relax. And what Susan Cain says is the power of asking the first question is that you will often set the agenda because other people will probably be thinking about that as well. And then the subsequent questions and discussion will follow your first question. Give yourself time to recharge. So you're an introvert, you've stepped up and you've spoken. Please understand you now need quiet time. So don't do back-to-back meetings. I mentioned prepare and plan. Prepare that first question and plan. And one of the things as introverts we can think of as our contribution, our standing up in the limelight, which we would rather avoid, as being of service to the other people in the room, because introverts have great ideas. So you're getting out of your comfort zone, you're feeling uncomfortable and putting that question forward or agreeing to talk is being of service to everyone else in the room, to my clients, to my customers, to my team. It's called the service mindset. So, summary, regularly agree to speak at team meetings. Put your name down on the agenda. Prepare that first question. Volunteer for a role at a committee, a team, a sporting team, an association. Join a Toastmasters, a rostrum, a penguin club. Speak without notes. Regularly practice and video record your presentation. And those few extra ones, create a reason to speak. Create a lunch and learn. Create a breakfast club where people go. Join a book club is a great one where you'll have to share regularly. And if you're an introvert, you still need to get in the habit of public speaking. Be aware it's a little bit more challenging for us introverts. Moving on. Upcoming webinars, how to get feedback when public speaking. I've alluded to one of them. Video record yourself and share that. That's on 10th of February. How to recover when something goes wrong. You know, when your mind goes blank and you forget what you need to say and you're just left, yeah, well, how do we recover? Workshops coming up. My wife and Kyla Morrison running Women in Leadership in Perth in Bunbury. Got a trip to Port Hedland, a whole range of workshops, presentation skills, speaking off the cuff, how to be more assertive, and some online workshops as well. Any further questions? Send me an email. You know how to get in touch with me. I'd welcome your comments and feedback, and I am going to finish a couple of minutes early. Any last comments? Any last questions? Please fire away. And just remember, for me, people say, what's the secret to your success? People come to me, how do I overcome my fear of public speaking? The answer to those two questions is the same. Get in the habit of public speaking.